I am Shalise Allen Millett. I am a licensed fiduciary with Caring for Mom and Dad, and I am here with Paige Fairbanks-Gunn, Relationship Manager at Koelsch Communities. So Paige, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and how you got there.
Okay. Well, I've been in the senior housing industry since 1997, so I kind of have a long journey. I'll give you kind of the Reader's Digest. I started as a CNA, and I was actually going to nursing school and did my clinicals, moved my way up and transitioned from nursing and into marketing and community relations. And then I was with a Catholic community in Kansas for about 7 years, via Christie, and then I moved out to Arizona in 2007, and I've been with 2 companies, but the last 10 years I've been with Koelsch Communities.
Yeah.
With the Koelsch community, with their family, I love the company. They're family owned and operated. Aaron Koelsch has been amazing to me. He's been wonderful. He's let me kind of morph into different positions. I've opened all of his Arizona properties. We have 7 in Arizona.
Wow.
I have ran a building. I've been an executive director. I've been a regional sales director, and for the last year and a half, since COVID, right before COVID hit, I transitioned into a relationship manager. So I float around to all 7 of our properties in Arizona, and I build relationships in the community and offer resources of what we provide, but I also network with so many other businesses out there and people that I've worked with for so many years that I trust, and it's working together. So it's really, if we can't help them in one of our communities, I want to be able to help them, connect them with someone like you if they need fiduciary services, if they need hospice, all sorts of different resources. So I also help with training in our communities. I also do assessments. So oftentimes if we have somebody that needs to come in quickly and maybe our nurses are busy with families, I will either go out to the hospital or connect to that hospital and or rehab and work with them and get them the process and the assessment done to get them into the community.
Awesome.
And help kind of hand them off to the team, because it is such a transitional point from them coming from either home and or from a community or a hospital if they're coming into a dementia care community.
Yeah.
It's such a delicate cycle.
Yeah.
And so we really have to work with a team. So I work with all of our communities. So we have 7 properties. We have a full campus in the West Valley in Surprise. We have the park at Surprise, which is our independent living. We have Solana at the park, which is our assisted living. And then we have Rock Creek Memory Care. So it's a full campus in Surprise.
Nice.
And then we have kind of a sprinkled area in the East Valley. We have Amber Creek Memory Care at 92nd Shea in Scottsdale. And then we have Silver Creek Memory Care at Wrecker and Baseline in East Mesa. And then we have a campus in Chandler, which is an independent living and then a memory care. So we have all different levels of care.
Yeah.
So,
which is huge because there's so many different, there's a variety of needs, a whole range.
there's a huge variety of needs.
Huge range.
And there's so many options.
Yeah.
I mean, Arizona and Florida are they're the retirement mecca.
Right,
And so we have so many options.
Right.
And there are so many wonderful places.
So that kind of actually leads into one of my questions is how does someone know like it's time to put my spouse or my parent into
That is
care?
a huge question.
Right?
A huge question. I work with so many families. I run a support group too. So
Which is really important.
I do a
so
dementia.
And let's say when those are, because
Yes.
those are huge.
So the dementia support groups have really, I think, have helped me help families, because I work with families that are not only in our communities, but also that are people that are looking to place or they're caring for their loved one at home and they're struggling. They're like, Paige, when do I do it? I can't do it. It was, I've been married for 60 years, for better or for worse, and I just can't do it.
Yeah.
And, I really, it has to, they've got to have that feeling, but I also give them kind of a rundown and I say, okay, are they safe at home?
Yeah.
What is going on? Can you leave them home alone? If you cannot,
Right.
that's a concern.
Yeah.
Okay, you need to make sure that you're getting in-home proper care. If you are leaving, make sure that you get respite care. But if you're having worse days through the week rather than good days, that's usually an indicator that you're starting to, need more assistance. And I'm not saying necessarily that they have to be placed, but reach out and get those resources. Maybe it's home care.
There are so many resources.
There's so many resources. So it's that, I think it's that fear and guilt of I'm placing them, I'm moving them to a community. But it's also thinking with your mind versus your heart.
Yeah.
Because they always think with their heart.
Right.
And you have to kind of switch gears and say, okay, does my loved one, are they safe at home?
Yeah.
Is it causing issues with my health?
Right.
The caregiver is starting to decline themselves. And that's the kicker.
Yeah.
Is where they're starting to, I've seen.
Let's talk about caregiver burnout.
Yes.
Actually, it is a thing, and you feel guilty for the
Yes.
burnout that you can't do it anymore. And
It's an epidemic.
And even you become resentful at
Yes.
all the work it is. And these are all very normal
Feelings
for
and
caregivers.
emotions.
But often when we have clients like come into the law office or something, and they're coming in for mom and dad, and they're worried about one of them, we're always saying, what about the well parent? Are you watching the well parent? Because no one's paying attention.
That's right.
And often they're the ones that go first, or they're the ones
Yes.
that they're suffering, but no one knows. Like, it's a real thing, that caregiver burnout.
Yes. It's like, what happens when the caregiver goes to the hospital?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah.
I'm actually, I work closely with Elaine Poker-Yant with Visiting Angels, and
Oh, yeah.
she's a dementia educator too, and she's doing a segment on that today, actually.
Oh,
at
really?
noon.
Okay.
Yes, and it is literally, it's brought so much more awareness, and I think just
Right.
educating that spouse, because it is the spouses
Yeah.
that literally wait to the last absolute crisis mode.
Yeah.
And when something happens, you got to have that plan B in place, because we
Right.
have so many families that come to us and it is crisis time. We've got
Right.
to find placement now,
Yes.
and they haven't done anything.
That's one of the things that I really, and maybe you're the same, that I wish people understood, is that as soon as mom or dad gets into rehab and they say, oh, they're approved for this many days, I've never seen it go that many days.
Never does.
And a lot of times they're like, okay, it's time. They're leaving at 5. You need to
Right.
have a place.
Yep.
And so really, as soon as mom and dad gets into a rehab or something like that out of the hospital,
Yes.
start looking.
Start looking immediately, even if, and the rehab's goal is to, of course, send them back home. And
Right.
of course, the goal is to always go back home.
Right.
But always look just in case.
Yes.
Because it is. You're spot on. You get in the rehab, the case managers are there, they may not be doing enough where Medicare is going to continue to pay. Because
Yeah.
Medicare they do weekly meetings in the rehab. And there has to be enough documentation and enough effort progress from the patient. And if you're not, and you kind of plateau, that's where they say, nope, you're off of Medicare.
Right.
You've got to find a place. And if they're not up to their, maximum performance,
Right.
or back to baseline where they were before, and they need more assistance, they're usually going to have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
need some sort of home care.
Right.
In the home. And so that's where it can get a little dicey.
Yeah.
And where they need to educate and research.
Right. So day 1 in rehab, get your plan A and
Yes.
your plan B.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And have a couple different plans. I mean, you don't have to have a plan of placement. I always say, have maybe a plan of, you've got some home care coming in.
Right.
For, a few hours a day or several hours a week. Choose a potential assisted living or an independent living. A lot
Yeah.
of people may just need some minor assistance where maybe they're living independently all on their own, but a lot of people, like my grandmother, she was independent, but it was in her own home, but it was, my aunt was going over there every day.
Right.
My dad was going over there to take care of the dog. They were doing her laundry, they were doing her meals,
Yeah.
they were filling up her pill box, and it was like, she wasn't really independent.
Yeah, can we actually
Yeah.
talk about that? We have a lot of people, they come in and visit mom,
Yep.
who's home alone, and mom's, oh, I'm fine, I'm making all my meals, I'm doing this, and it's really not happening.
Right.
They're really not as good off as they're telling everyone. And so you really, as a child or something, need to go in and assess
Yes.
and look and see, because they genuinely do think that they are making meals every day and that they're
Yes.
taking the right medicine. But they're not.
But they're
And
not.
so you need to be there watching
Yes.
and assessing all the time, not just asking them how they're doing.
Absolutely, because oftentimes if it's a parent far away, I mean, my dad's in Kansas, he lives very
Yeah.
far away. I go there every quarter just to really, check on dad.
Right.
Are there not expired groceries in
Right,
the fridge?
right.
Is he looking well? Is he, those
Is he
types
turning
of
off the
things.
stove
Is he
when he
turning
walks
off-
away?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, because oftentimes, families too, the parent will say they're really good over the phone.
Yeah.
And, I'm doing everything. Of course
Yeah.
I'm eating. Well, what are you eating?
Right.
Even
in a
asking
phone call,
those
they
questions.
can mask dementia and Alzheimer's, even in a
Absolutely.
phone call.
Yep.
And it takes it takes a while to catch on that they're really compensating.
Yes,
For-
and it's asking details.
Yeah.
Instead of, did you eat today? Well, yes, I ate today.
Right.
Well, what did you eat
Yeah.
today? And what did you have yesterday?
Yeah.
You know, did
and then
you...
asking that question again in about
Exactly.
15 minutes and seeing if
Exactly.
it's consistent.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's very scary, because there's a lot of seniors in their home that are in this exact same situation. And it's just, it will get to a point where it's going to exacerbate, and
Yeah.
then it's crisis mode.
Yeah.
So that's where I come in and try to educate,
Yeah.
you know, along with partners in the community, to really educate and do presentations and talk about these things, and make sure that they know that their parent could be one of these people,
Right.
and what type of services and Plan B do you have in place?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And not waiting until it's an emergency to get that plan.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. What are some bullet points you really want to hit? I didn't.
Okay, so that's what. Okay.
Yeah.
So bullet points that I think is being prepared.
Okay.
Having that Plan B in place.
Okay.
Especially if you have an elderly parent or grandparent or loved one, that you have that Plan B in place. I think
Yeah.
that is first and foremost,
Right.
because even though they may never need it, and you hope maybe they don't, but 9 times out of 10, there's going to be
Yeah.
some sort of need, whether
Yeah.
that, and making it kind of a customized plan,
Right.
you know, to your loved one and your parent. Because what happens is if you don't have that Plan B, crisis mode comes into play,
Right.
and you're making decisions. It's kind of like, unfortunately, when someone doesn't plan for a funeral.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that, you know, funerals are, when you get to a certain age, I told my husband, I said, we got to get our funeral plots and everything ready by 60, because you never know. And then you have to make decisions.
Right.
You're forced to make decisions maybe you weren't planning on, or that you
Yeah.
maybe wanted, that
Yeah.
you didn't
Well,
want.
and you're making it when you're in a place where you're mourning or you're
Yes.
frightened, and so you're in this like
You're
fight,
grieving.
flight, or freeze mode in your brain, and
Yes.
the decision-making mode has gone offline on your
Right.
brain, and you're
it's off.
making important decisions.
Yes.
And when you have to place mom in 3 days or this week, sometimes you don't get them into the optimal facility,
Right.
because you're just looking at what's available,
Right.
you know, who can take them tomorrow and stuff like that, instead of like, these are our top 3, these are the ones
Yes.
we want in when they're available, you know, get on their list type
I
of
think
stuff.
Being, you know, with that Plan B, it's try not to be apprehensive and be scared about it.
Yeah.
This is, you know, there's so many wonderful communities out there that, I mean, we love our residents. We have resources. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's keeping in contact with them and building that relationship. So you know that maybe they're offering resources, they're offering support
Right.
groups, there's respite care available,
Yeah.
day stay care available. So I think just building that relationship with your Plan B,
Yeah.
people and resources, is key.
Yeah.
I think another thing is how to, a lot of families and spouses and families don't know, they don't understand how much it costs for care.
Yes.
So, you know, I think sticker shock to families is the national average cost for a nursing home is $9,000 to $12,000
Yeah.
a month. 9 to 12.
It's, in fact, because we do a lot of All-Tex Medicaid
Mhm.
applications,
Yes.
and right now they're saying that the average in Arizona is like 7,000 to 8,000.
Yes. Mhm.
Which is, I mean, pretty good.
Yeah, that's
for
pretty good.
nationwide, but
Exactly.
it is that much a month.
It is that much a month.
Now it's scaled. so
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
so-
And I mean, independent living, it starts at, you know, around 2,500 and can go up to 5.
Yeah.
So it depends on, you know, what type of services, and our, you know, assisted is usually starts around 3,500 and can go up to 7,500. And memory care is very specialized, because dementia care is very, very complex.
Right.
And you need a lot of caregivers. We do 24-hour on-site nursing in our memory care communities because it's such a critical, complex disease.
Right.
And there's so much going on, and they need so much attention.
Yes.
But I think that families understanding, they need to know how much this is going to cost. So doing their due diligence and shopping
Right.
rates, because I think what they need to understand is, if you break down care, like let's just say if you start at $5,000 a month, I think $5,000 divided by, 30 days, you're looking at like under I think it's like $6.96 per hour
Yeah.
of care.
Right.
So if you put it in that perspective, it's less than minimum wage for 24-hour care
Yeah.
in a community.
Right. And
But
housing and food.
Housing and
Yeah.
food and care and activities and
Right.
and everything, and security, and having a weight-trained staff 24/7. So I think that, how making sure that they understand how are they going to pay for care, and what does that look like?
Yeah.
Because do they have long-term care insurance? A lot of kids don't understand.
Yeah.
Mom and dad have a long-term care insurance policy with their employer.
Yeah.
So researching that, were they a veteran?
Yes.
There's VA benefits out there that can help pay for assisted living.
Right.
And oftentimes, sometimes, depending on the circumstance, it can pay for independent living, depending on that's kind of a case-by-case situation.
Yeah.
Dementia care, it's in the bag because they have the diagnosis.
Right.
But there's two qualifying factors. There's financial and medical. Right. So they're just like the all-tax.
Yeah.
It goes down that, but I think really learning that they need to know what the cost is, because I still get families that come in and go, well, don't their Medicare and Blue Cross Blue Shield pay for this? And I'm like, no. Medicare will pay for rehab for a certain amount of time, but it is private pay until they liquidate their assets, go through that, and then need to go on to Medicaid, the LTAC program.
Yeah.
I think those are the two biggest things. And I think that also the advanced directives are a huge piece.
Yes.
Having those advanced directives in place are huge. I had a family that actually was working with a fiduciary, and they came in. It was a husband and wife. Bless their heart. They were both from England. They've been in the States for 50 years.
Yeah.
No children, no family whatsoever. And we're sitting down and we're working on paperwork to get her moved in, and he said, well, I'm her power of attorney. And I said, well, okay, well, I need that documentation. We need to have that on file. And he said, well, I don't actually have it on file, but I'm her husband, so I'm her power of attorney.
Aww.
And I said, well, it doesn't really work that way, unfortunately, as much as I understand you are her next of kin. But unless you have the documentation, she has dementia now, and she can't make that decision. So what has to happen now?
Yeah.
He has to file for guardianship,
which
is a whole nother situation.
Yeah.
And, a long, lengthy process, which you're very well aware of.
Right.
So, I mean, those are things, I think, having those advanced directives piece, and the mental health care power of attorney, especially being here in Arizona, because we have so many snowbirds.
Yes.
If you did your advanced directives in Illinois, you come here, they don't necessarily apply because you don't have that mental health care
you need to have that mental health care power of attorney, which is part of all our medical power of attorneys. They just need to be included in that. So one thing that we talk about too is don't wait too long to get those in place.
Absolutely.
Like you said, once they have dementia, it's too late to do those directives.
You can't make it.
And so if you see, they're starting to. But the other thing that I hope people understand is you just don't have to do this alone.
No.
You don't. You are not alone
in
this.
Alone.
And there are so many people out that want to help.
Absolutely.
And, and you don't have to have the conversations alone.
Right.
We find, and you might have the same situation, but we find, they want to talk to mom and dad. They, we need your estate in place because otherwise it's a mess when you die and we're not going to know what to do, so we need it in place. And mom and dad kind of bulk about that. But bring them in here, let the attorney talk to them, and they are open to the attorney. They don't feel like their independence is being taken by their children. They can call, if you want to talk to mom about assisted living, call you. You don't have to have that conversation alone with mom.
Exactly. Those uncomfortable conversations do not have to be done alone. You're absolutely right. I do that with families.
Yeah.
You do that with
families. And they'll
families.
respond better a lot of times to you because they don't think you have an ulterior motive.
Absolutely.
So they respond better sometimes.
And I help families that are not even coming into our community.
Yeah.
I mean, just because if they're not coming to a Koelsch community and they need help, I'm going to help them.
Yeah.
Or find someone that will help them.
Yes.
With what they need. I've been able to get families on where they just, for example, they don't want to tell mom they're moving. I have to move mom. I don't want to be the one to tell her.
Yeah.
We don't expect you to be the one to tell her. You don't have to be the bad guy. Let us be the bad guy.
Right.
And here's what we're going to come up with.
And you present your relationship with mom.
Yes.
And we'll take care of that.
You let us come up with the transitional plan, and everybody's plan is a little bit different.
Yeah.
When someone comes into independent living, it's usually a very fun thing because it's independent living, they're getting resources, it's fun, it's all this stuff.
Yeah.
Assisted living is a little bit more, they may be a little bit more reluctant to come
Yeah.
into assisted living from
Yeah.
home, and then memory care is a whole different animal.
Right.
Typically they have no idea what's going on at that point,
Yeah.
and the child and or the spouse are grieving so bad because
Yeah.
they're like, how am I going to tell my
Right.
loved ones that we're moving them?
Right.
And I said, you don't have to tell them.
You don't
You
have
let
to
us
tell
handle
them.
that.
Yeah.
And we're going to sit and meet as a family, and we're going to talk this through and come up with a transition
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah. I just kind of want to emphasize that a little bit. Like, this is heavy. These are heavy decisions. These are heavy burdens to carry, and you don't have to do it alone. Like, there are people
Absolutely.
who will come in and help you with all
And help
those
you with
transitions.
everything.
You don't
And it
have
takes
to
a
do it alone.
team.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the caregiver burnout is also isolation.
Absolutely.
You just kind of feel alone in it, and you don't have to feel alone.
No, you do not.
Yeah.
And with COVID, I mean, there's been so much more. I mean, even some of the home cares that we partner with are just, they're inundated.
Yes.
Because there were so many seniors at home alone, no one was leaving, family wasn't coming to check
Right.
on them, and now it's just kind of busted at the seams.
Yeah.
And now it's, they need help and they need care now.
Right.
Because they're just getting calls and calls, and
Yeah.
some of the home cares are having to turn away care
Yeah.
because they don't have enough care.
Right.
And with the national caregiver shortage, that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
Every employer, we're doing the best we can to try to attract, pay the best, and help pay
Right.
for school to bring in caregivers.
Yeah.
And nurses. So,
Yeah.
because everyone's struggling with that too.
Everyone's struggling with
Yes.
that right now.
It is.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you really feel like people need to know and understand, or you wish that they knew and understand that could make this easier for them?
I think they just need to make the phone call.
Yeah.
I think they just need to call someone, call a community, contact you, contact
Right.
me. We can walk them through the services
Yes.
and just, talk to us about what they're struggling with, and we
Right.
can kind of help give them options.
Yeah. And you're not going to charge them to come in
Absolutely
and talk to them and just say, these are your
no.
options.
These are the options.
Yeah.
I've had someone come in where this is an example where this is 5 or 6 years ago. This son came to us. He came from Sun Lakes. Mom was living in Sun Lakes. He literally thought he had to move mom into memory care because she was so confused. And she was driving around getting lost and wandering. She came in, we talked to her. I talked to him, I said, have you checked her for a urinary tract infection? Have you taken her to the doctor? He's like, no. And so he takes her into the doctor, come to find out she had a urinary tract infection. They got her on antibiotics, and within 2 weeks, she was back to normal.
She's fine. Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, so those are the types of things, it's
Right.
like, call somebody, let someone kind of assess your situation, and let us help you kind of walk through your struggles and what you're
Yes.
struggling with.
And no one
there's so many
expects you
resources.
to know how to do this.
No,
Nobody
nobody.
expects you to navigate something
There's
you've
not a
never
guidebook,
navigated before.
Because
Right.
everybody's situation
Yeah.
is different. It's not a cookie cutter situation
Right.
at all.
And you don't know the questions till you get there.
You
a
don't.
lot of times.
You don't. I mean, and
It's
we've
just
had.
new.
I say call a community or call a home care or call somebody and at least get the resources and the information. I meet with families in our communities. I give them a tour, kind of give them a plan. Just so they have that plan in place, and then they know who to call when that time comes.
Yeah.
When it's time. I think that with dementia care, I think it's extremely important to know that I think having a nurse on site for a dementia care community is key.
Yeah.
I get families that come in and maybe they've moved them from, a different type situation because they didn't have a nurse. And having that nurse, we have really less hospitalization, so I think that's an important piece
Yeah.
for memory care. Another thing is we have so many silver alerts
Yeah.
during the summertime, and that breaks my heart.
It's so hot out.
It is so hot out, so I think that, people need to understand if you see any confusion with your loved one,
Yeah.
or you see.
And that could be dehydration too, by
It
the way.
could totally be
UTI,
dehydration. Yes,
Dehydration.
it could
yeah.
be dehydration.
Yeah.
But get them hydrated, get them checked out.
Right.
If you see the confusion, if you see some sort of safety awareness, take action.
Yeah.
Because, we just had a lady that just passed away. Just down here, I think in Sun Lakes, about 4 or 5 days ago. So those things are crucial, because when there's no safety awareness, it's definitely crisis mode.
Yeah.
It can be dangerous.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about when someone doesn't have a power of attorney and their directives aren't in place. if they do have that in place, what is it you use those directives for? What advantage is there to having those?
Those advantages to those documents are paramount.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because it protects your loved one from being able to receive information to their power of attorney and or keep it from somebody. It also helps with if somebody is just starting to get a dementia diagnosis and they have that mental health care power of attorney in place, that will help get them into a community. And also if they need any sort of geropsych care in a hospital, they have to have that piece in order to go and get the care that they need in a hospital psych setting before they come to a memory care, if that's the circumstance. It helps tremendously in every way because everything runs smoothly. And like I said, they have to have it eventually in a memory care setting because once they have dementia, if they don't have that piece, they've got to go to guardianship.
Yeah.
And so it's invaluable that they have those advanced directives in place. I'm always letting families know too that evaluate your advanced directives about every 5 years.
Yeah.
Maybe things have changed.
Right.
Or maybe your
laws have changed.
The laws have changed.
The mental health care power of attorney actually is pretty new in the last, like if you had yours done 10 years ago, it likely doesn't include the mental health care power of attorney.
Correct.
It just wasn't as big of an issue.
It wasn't.
10 years ago.
Absolutely.
And the laws about how and where you can place people that are covered in the mental health care power of attorney, they've changed.
They've changed.
So you
or
need to
your loved one, your agent has passed away, or they become really ill.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't have a secondary, so you have to relook at those, and you
always
gotta
have
revise
a
them.
secondary, by the way.
Always
have a secondary.
Always have a secondary, and I never recommend having joint.
No, never do
Never
joint. Always have, two
first
or three.
and yes, exactly. Yeah.
We are totally on the same page on that one.
Because then you get families that are like, no, they can't agree on anything, and it's that gets complicated.
No, it makes an already hard situation harder to do.
Yes.
Joints.
So the advanced directives are a paramount piece.
Yeah.
For placement in assisted living, it really is because that is number 2 question of what we ask for is their insurance cards and their power of attorney.
Yeah.
We have to have those pieces. Yeah.
And when just to plug, when you do choose your power of attorney, look at the aptitude. A lot of people will I'm going to pick oldest child, second, third, fourth.
Right.
But sometimes there's aptitudes there, like someone has a medical background or someone has a financial background. Or someone's life is really heavy already, or they, have some anxieties that this really would push them over the edge to have to make these decisions for mom.
Exactly.
So just when you're choosing, it's not just automatically.
It's assess the situation of your loved ones' lives and how what they can contribute.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a key point.
I'm just going to throw that flag.
And sometimes, again, that's why it's important to revise them every couple of years because people's lives change.
Yeah.
And so maybe number 1 now needs to go to 3 and 3 went to 1.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
It's very, very important.
Yeah.
So
I would love to talk about your support groups.
Yes.
I think that's really important. The support for the caregiver is so important.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about these support groups.
Okay, so the support groups, I've been holding a support group twice a month, every first and third Wednesday of the month at 10:30. This group is for anybody. It's a dementia friendly, so it's a dementia support group. I haven't kicked off a regular assisted living one yet, but it's for dementia spouses and families. I kicked it off on Zoom during the pandemic because we did have them in person, but we did just start to kick off our in-person support groups. We have one at Amber Creek Memory Care Community, and that is every second Tuesday of the month at 1:30. And then we also have, it's every second Wednesday of the month at 1:30 at Amber Creek. And then we're kicking off our Silver Creek in East Mesa, and that's in person, and that's going to be every second Wednesday also. Okay. And that's at 10:30. So.
And I think it's important if you can find a support system in any way as a
Absolutely.
caregiver. It's super important, and to normalize some of the feelings that you have and what you're going through, and to just, again, you're not alone in this.
Exactly. And I encourage families. I also am involved in the Sun Lakes United Methodist Church. It's through kind of with Neighbors Who Care, and also Risen Savior, which is with the adult daycare there. A Perfect Place. I don't know if
Okay.
you've heard of that. So I do one in Sun Lakes as well, and that one's in person. And I encourage families that are new, because I think that they're scared to come because they feel like they have to talk. You don't have to talk.
Yeah.
You can just sit and listen.
Yeah.
You don't have to be, we may say, would you like to say anything? You don't have to say anything. You can just listen. So
Yeah.
I think that if people just take that first step and will either come to a Zoom or come to one in person, we have resources on either side.
Yeah.
So I encourage families to take that first step.
Yeah, I think it's so important. I think there is a lot of guilt and resentment,
guilt.
and then guilt about the resentment and all
It
kinds
is.
of stuff, and worry that you're doing it wrong. And there's just
Right. There's no
not-
wrong way.
Yeah,
There's no wrong way.
Yeah.
And it's a safe place where you can come, I have people that we cry, we laugh. I have some that, just need to say bad words.
Right.
You come and you can just
Yeah.
unleash.
Yeah.
I facilitate it, but it's bringing others together,
Yeah.
and it's bringing, people that are in the same situation.
Right.
And so they help one another.
Yeah.
Spouses are starting to help one another. Family members are getting together, and they're making friendships as well,
yeah,
knowing that they're not alone.
right. So Paige, if they want to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to reach you?
You can reach me on my cell phone direct at 480-285-9097. You can also reach me on my email, and that is pfg@koelschsenior.com. You can find me on our website at Koelsch Senior Communities. You can click on the Arizona site and find all of our 7 properties. But cell phone is the best and the quickest way to reach me. You can shoot me a text or give me a call, and I'd be happy to help you out in any way.
Thank you so much, Paige.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on here today.